Hello, I'm here with my friend Elizabeth. We just finished watching, how many times have you seen it now? Is this like your second or third time?
This is the second time I've watched it.
Alright, this is my third time. We just finished watching the Spider Within short film that Sony put out for the Spider-Verse universe. I guess kind of, I don't know, I think you said before, because I haven't watched the behind the scenes video, you watched it before you came over here. It was for this thing called Lens.
Yeah, it's a new, like, little group thing that they're doing to help, what's the word? It stands for something, like, each letter, but it's basically to give those who haven't had the opportunity to lead a chance to do so in the industry.
Yeah, and it's, I also feel like there was a sort of a plan to release it around what was the planned release date of Beyond the Spider-Verse or Across the Spider-Verse. I think it was called Beyond the Spider-Verse or Across the Spider-Verse Part 2, because it was a two-part movie. That was supposed to have been released at the day we're recording this, the 29th. It was supposed to be released today. They put out this little short film about Miles going through a panic attack and anxiety induced episode. We have another one to add for the collection of animated panic attacks, which is great. The white people video essayists are going to be very excited about that one.
Us included.
Yeah, me included, for real. It's a great short film. I mean, it's crazy to me how at this point the Spider-Verse style is so unique and so its own thing and so exciting that you could release anything in that world and we would just eat it up, because that's how great this is. It's only like, I think 10 minutes long. I don't even think it's that long.
Not even.
Not including credits, I don't even think it's that long. And it tells such a compelling short narrative.
It humanizes him, right? Because in the movies, you have all of these crazy experiences that Miles is going through that are, like, we can't necessarily relate to. Mm-hmm. And so this is a very human, normal problem to have.
Yeah. It focuses on how you can apply your own struggles in life, whether it's, you know, being Spider-Man as a concept has been explored like this before within the Raimi movies and within even the Amazing Spider-Man and stuff like that. This is what my favorite thing about Spider-Man is, that you can apply your real life struggles to his superhero struggles, because to him, they're one and the same. Whether it's catching a falling building or picking up somebody right before they get hit by a car or getting to work on time, paying your rent. They're the same struggle for Peter Parker or Miles Morales or Gwen Stacy or whatever Spider-Man you happen to be reading. That's the same struggle for all of them. They see it on the same level. And that can manifest into a lot of serious anxiety. And in this short film, they explore that anxiety in a very unique, very scary way. It's scary. Full transparency, arachnophobe. So very scary for me. But I think this is going to resonate with people that struggle with anxiety. I like the way that it handles it visually. I like the slow progression of it. I think the film, like, I watched it, I just noticed the last time we watched it right before we sat down to record this, it starts out with him breathing and trying to get a steady breath, and he just can't do it, and he's kind of hyperventilating a little, or at least starting to, and it slowly ramps up. First, he's got to work up the nerve to open the door to go into his own house. That's the first thing he's got to do, to just be like, okay, I'm going to brush this off and not talk to my dad about it. Or, because like talking about it, I think because again, as someone who deals with it, talking about it sometimes makes it a little more real, and you're afraid of letting that part of yourself out there a little more.
From a psychological standpoint, it's that I need to process this first before I can talk about it.
Yeah.
And that's what he's doing, because kind of in the same vein of what you were talking about earlier, you know, how Spider-Man and, like, Spider-Man problems and normal world problems are one for him. You can see that as Miles is playing back through his day or his week, you know, it's him getting punched, it's him keeping a building from collapsing, and it's also his parents getting on him, it's him failing at school. These are all in the same vein, it's all the same stressors, and it's the weight of the world on his chest, actually, because that's kind of what they explore, is how it feels like it, you know, it's this constant pressure as this being in the film that resembles him is just pushing down on his chest, and it's hard to catch your breath and deal with it.
I feel like it's definitely written from someone who has dealt with this from their point of view and their perspective, and they really wanted to put that in and explore it through animation and explore it through this world that we've gotten used to. It is a slow build to this sort of climax, which in a way, I think a lot of people are going to go into this thinking it's he's got to fight it and overcome it. And that the beauty of it is the way that this ends is him just working up the nerve to go talk about it with somebody.
Yeah.
And it's important to have someone to go speak to about these things. That's really what the message of the short film is. I feel like that's what it's ultimately building to, is you can struggle on this all on your own. You can try to have those things that block out those feelings, which I love that he tries to. He goes home, he tries to talk with his dad. He really can't bring himself to do it. He goes to his room and tries to listen to music. And this is something that I relate to personally. I like to listen to music to try and de-stress. I like to watch films and try and de-stress and watch TV shows. And sometimes it's so bad you can't ignore it even when you're watching or doing your favorite thing. You're playing your favorite video game, you're drawing, you're writing, you're listening to music like he's doing, and the music's getting drowned out by the thoughts and the stresses that he's dealing with, and he just can't handle it anymore, and that manifests and builds and builds and builds until you just can't handle it. And you're seeing scary things. They really parallel this to like a sleep paralysis demon, I feel like, is what they're trying to invoke with this shadowy figure of him.
It can be caused, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is something I studied in school. Psychology degree coming in handy. It's not exaggerated in any way, which is interesting to think about because it's animation. Animation is built to exaggerate and amplify whatever's going on, but these are all very real things that people deal with, and it's not exaggerated in any way, other than, he climbs on the ceiling because he's Spider-Man.
Yeah, and they do definitely go to a very artistic place with it, but they use the art to enhance what people already really go through. Like, one thing I've noticed on every time I've watched it, even though I know it's coming, there's this part where the entity or whatever is he's manifesting, that he's seeing in his head, reaches down and pokes him on the chest and pushes him through his bed.
Yeah.
That train sound is so loud, and that is, I love the intent of when you're in a high anxiety state, everything is much louder. Your senses are overloaded, and the sound design is very intentional in everything in this. Just as in with the films themselves, the Spider-Verse crew is just so good at choosing what is going to be most important to that scene, whether it's the way a character is designed or how they're posed or how they're lit or the sound design, which is the case of this.
And even with that, he gets on the train and this entity is all that he sees. There's nothing else to focus on. It is just me and this thing that I'm having to deal with.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of spiders. I don't like them. I love Spider-Man, but
what about Spiders, man?
No, I don't like spiders, man. I don't like them at all. It for Miles, it works thematically because the spider bite is what changed his whole life and added to his stress load he was already going through. That's one of the things I like about Into the Spider-Verse, the first film, that's different than other incarnations of Spider-Man that we've seen before. Miles already has the world on his shoulders already before he even gets bit. Yeah. Not to say Peter Parker didn't, because he totally did, but it was a very different kind of thing. Peter was just trying to get by in life, whereas Miles has expectations. He's very intelligent. He's going to a new school. His dad and his mom are pushing him to go further and further and further and use that intellect that he has and those gifts that he has. Like, there's that part in the first moment where he intentionally fails a test, which the only way you can do that is to know every single right answer. This spider bite added to the stress of his life. So seeing this fear first, I think it's different. The way that I interpret the moment is it's different stages of what's stressing him out. There's the real life struggles, which is you're failing your grades, these grades are not acceptable, you're slacking off, you have no responsibility, which the word responsibility is very key for Spider-Man, it always has been. And that's when he sees this version of himself, this dark image of himself that's failing and putting so much pressure on him, and then that turns into a spider, which is the Spider-Man half of him. You're failing to save people. You have all these people relying on you, and your family relying on you. I guess where I'm going with it is you have to succeed, and he feels like he's failing in some areas. And that is a very hard thing for someone as young as Miles to deal with. It's really great how it reflects back on the films, because there's that moment in Across the Spider-Verse where he's talking to his dad, and his dad's opening up to Spider-Man, not knowing that it's his son, saying like, oh, I've got a kid and I'm struggling, and he goes like, men your age don't really open up about their mental health. And it's good that Miles is like taking that his own advice by the end of this, because to me, you could have easily ended this with him defeating this big spider and have it as a symbolic victory over your mental health struggle. The way the film ends is go talk to somebody.
Yeah. I mean, this is what I've been saying to you for years now. And it doesn't have to be like a therapist. Like, though therapy does help 100% no matter what you're going through. If you're even going through anything, it also helps if you just, with daily struggles that may not seem as big, it helps with everything. But even just, talking to the nearest person. How many chats have you and I had in this very
room, enough to make a whole channel out of, I feel like, if we were to do it, if we'd film these.
Just talking to anyone really helps. As long as, caveat, they have to be the right person, right? There's plenty of people that you can talk to about it, and they're just not helpful. But, talking to those that you love and trust.
That's the part that's like the main message of it, is like, he has to alleviate what's going on with him. He needs to talk to somebody, and it's what I love about his dad as a character is he really wants to communicate with him. His dad is very open. He wants to have that talk with his son. And I think Miles is afraid of it. I think he's scared.
I think they both want to, but they're both terrified and don't know how to go about it.
Yeah.
Until finally, one of them is just like, all right, let's talk.
Yeah, let's
and
get it all
in
out
this
there.
case, it's Miles being like, hey, I have a lot going on right now.
Yep. And I love that it's, he obviously can't talk about the Spider-Man stuff for obvious reasons, but I don't think I think even if his dad knew he was Spider-Man, the conversation would start with, I'm struggling with school, I'm struggling with work, I'm struggling with girls. Like, those would be the first things, because that's what everybody deals with.
Yeah.
Those are common struggles. Animation at its best, and storytelling at its best, can tell you and show you things that are fantastical and open up worlds to things that you've never seen before. But the human characters within them are going to deal with the same things that we deal with. And a really good short film in a universe we're already in love with already. Number one Spider-Man stands here for the Spider-Verse movie.
Absolutely.
We've loved the Spider-Verse films.
Saw them in theaters. I've seen them multiple times since.
Yeah.
Love it so much.
They're great. And the most compelling part of Across the Spider-Verse is not... It is. I mean, well, I'll say it this way. The most compelling part of Beyond the Spider-Verse for me was not the Spider-Man overarching story of the dimensions. It was Gwen dealing with her thing.
Absolutely. Dealing with her dad and everything that they're going through. That is also one of my favorite parts. But also, like, with this, you get to see them in a he doesn't have to go fight anyone.
Yeah.
He's not traveling between dimensions.
Yeah.
He's just walking home from school.
Yes, that's what we connect to most when we read the stories, is what we connect to us when we watch these stories, when we play them on video games. This did not have the epic battle of him fighting his inner demon literally. This is, I'm going to deal with it. I'm not going to fight it. I'm going to confront it. I'm going to go start to make the steps necessary to confront this and to become better and get over what is going on with me and learn how to deal with it. My favorite kind of art is the art that I see myself in, or I relate to in a specific way. I struggle anxiety-wise. I have serious struggles with it, as Elizabeth has alluded to earlier. We've had many conversations about it, and I like seeing it explored in animation. That's why there's that annoying cliche of like, oh, they had an animated panic attack in it. People like to see that represented, because it, as silly as it is, obviously, for what, it's been putting in, they've been putting in a lot of, they put it in the Paw Patrol movie to kind of bank on the Puss in Boots thing.
Yeah.
Like, but there's a reason why people are connecting with it so much, is because it's being explored now, that it's okay to open up about your mental health struggles. And like, I think on every channel this short film has been uploaded to, they have like a fundraiser for mental health awareness attached to it.
I mean, as it should be. It is a completely normal thing to go through. And I hate this stigma of, like, you can't talk about your feelings. You can't let anyone know that you're going through this stuff, that you're stressed, that you're anxious. Like, why?
It's good to see a character who is a positive beacon and a positive role model for go talk to somebody. Even if it's just your dad at first, or your sibling, or your mother, or your best friend. Go talk to somebody, and then make the proper steps toward exploring it further with someone who's a professional.
Yeah, absolutely.
And with all those themes aside, as great as those themes are, that's what the story is trying to tell. Looking at it as just a great short film, it's just a really great short film as like a psychological horror, if you want to look at it that way, if you want to. Yeah, there's some scary shit in it. There's some great angles and lighting, and it's fantastically animated, as it would be. It's the Spider-Verse team.
Yeah, something that I didn't necessarily notice on the first go, but watching it on the second go, his dad has a scary movie on, and it's this girl, someone's creeping up behind them, and Miles going, man, just look behind you. But what I noticed the second go through was the one creeping up behind was this dark, shadowy figure with glowing eyes, and that is what Miles sees when he has his panic attack.
And it's also, you could even look at it for the themes of the story if you wanted to really give it more credit for what it's doing. And I think everything in this is intentional. I really do.
Absolutely.
It's to Miles, it's like, are you obviously not going to turn around and do this?
Yeah.
Are you not going to talk to your dad?
Yeah.
It's a very...
Absolutely.
It's easy to say to go do something. It's hard to go do it. That's great storytelling. I love stuff like that. I love seeing it. And I love returning to little works of art or longer works of art and noticing the things they set up and pay off later. Again, like we talked about earlier, this was supposed to be released, or the third part of the story was supposed to be released today, as the day we're filming this.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with waiting. I've said this on, I think I posted about this on Twitter somewhere, like, I don't care if it takes 5 more years. Because, like, yeah, I'd be impatient. I'd want to see the rest of the story. I'm greedy. I can't help it. I love my Spider-Verse stuff. But with how well these films are made, take your time.
Take your time. I don't want anyone to be rushed or stressed about it.
Yep.
And I want it to be fully cooked, ready to go, like out the gate.
Yep.
No, having to edit things later on in the digital release. No, like, here is my baby.
Yeah, unrealistic expectations that are placed on the animators and editors and sound design artists and things of that. Like, obviously there was controversy around the last film, and I'm really hoping that that's addressed by the third film. And I hope that, with this new short film that came out, which I know obviously is going to have people that are from the team that worked on it, I hope that this one was a step in the right direction of, like, we made this in a reasonable amount of time and we were able to have our...
If I remember right, because I was listening to the behind the scenes making of in the car, literally driving here this morning. They started this when the first movie was released.
Wow.
And that's what they were going off of, not the second one.
Crazy.
If I'm remembering right.
Again, good things take time. Good things take time to make. I mean, I remember, we look at, like, great sequels, right? I remember people were talking about how, like, they were comparing Spider-Verse to Empire Strikes Back and things like great sequels. It's a valid comparison. I really do believe that. I know people think that's, like, overhyping things, but I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that it is one of the best sequels I've ever seen. A great sequel needs time, and there were many years between the first Spider-Verse and the second. I'm okay to wait more.
Yeah, absolutely.
If it's gonna give us this level of quality every time, yeah, take that time. There's not a single flawed shot in the Spider-Verse movie. Not one.
Just like with this little short film, every single shot is intentional. Mm-hmm. Through the first movie and the second, and hopefully the third. There's not one throwaway scene, one throwaway frame.
Yeah.
Everything is meticulously planned.
Lens is, like, the group that made this, I think is what it's called. If they want to tell more stories in this universe, they should totally do it. I'd like to see one from perspectives of other Spider-Men and Spider-People. The short film is just really, really good. And it's reinforcing this idea that Spider-Man is a great character to explore these themes through. Because Spider-Man is very human. He's a very relatable character. And relatable, not just in the blanket term of, oh, he's relatable, he struggles with bills and stuff like I do. No, he struggles with expectation. He struggles with success. Struggles with responsibility. Responsibility is the word that defines Spider-Man. No matter what version of the character you're looking at, that defines the character of Peter Parker, Gwen Stacy, Miles Morales. Responsibility, and that struggle with responsibility. And that responsibility can manifest into anxiety and can manifest into fear of failure. And it's important to go talk to people about it, and that's what the short film nailed. I think it's one of the best pieces of Spider-Man media that I've seen in a long time. It's a great short film. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's on YouTube. It's free. Don't gotta pay nothing to watch it. If you can donate to the fundraisers that they have, do that if you're able to do so. Support these artists and support what they're making. Go make something of your own if you can. Don't be afraid to put part of yourself into your art. That's what makes it special. That's my advice.
And seek help.
If you need it, if you need to seek it, it's really important.
Yeah.
It's very important to me. Thank you guys for sitting here and chilling with us and listening to our conversation. Add to the conversation in the comments. What did you think of it? What's your favorite, exploration of anxiety in media? We've been getting that a lot recently. That's been explored very well. Let me know. I'd love to hear it. I love the conversations that we start in comments. I love to read them.
Also, let Mason know if you like, video formats like this, where it is just us talking, or you and your dad talking. Let us know if you want to explore that more. Give us topics to talk about.
Oh yeah, I love doing things where it's not as scripted. It's not easy for me. I feel, again, in the theme of what we're talking about, I have a little bit of anxiety of letting myself out there beyond my script, because I feel like a script is kind of a safe thing and I get to structure it and it takes me a few weeks to write it. Whereas like these videos, once I start filming them, it's great and I'm able to have these conversations and let these things go. And like kind of like what I did with the live stream, which went great and I love doing that. Once I started, it becomes super fun and I love doing it. I am trying to build up that confidence of having my thoughts out there without the safety of a script and the safety of like written word that keeps me on track. I think this turned out great. I think I enjoyed having this conversation. Thanks for having it with me, and definitely do let us know if you want to see more of that. Thanks guys. Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate you. Thanks for watching the channel. It means a lot to me that you all do. It really does. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Spider-Man fingers.
I should have got like a Spider-Man glove.
We really should have went and bought.
Wearing it. Or
Should
like a
have bought
mask.
one of those ones that has like silly string.
Yeah.
Would have made the room a mess though.
And then I would have left.
Yeah, you would have left me to clean it all up. Yep, that's the thing you would do.